Excellency Timur Suleimanov, Chairman of the 12th WTO Ministerial Conference, Dr. Ngozis Okonjo Iweala, Director General of the World Trade Organizations, Excellencies G. Shambowi, Chairman of the General Council, Excellencies, Ministers and colleagues. First and foremost, I would like to extend my sincere appreciations to the government of Kazakhstan, the city of Geneva, and the World Trade Organizations for organizing this 12th WTO Ministerial Conference. It has been almost 5 years since the last Ministerial Conference. We can finally meet in person at this important and much anticipated event to discuss global trade issues of broad critical significance and impact. These past 5 years, the world has gone through many challenges of global proportion. One major challenge is the COVID-19 pandemic, which affected greatly the lives and livelihood of millions of people all over the world. Cambodia is no different to the other parts of the world. The COVID-19 pandemic has brought Cambodia's economic development to a sudden halt. After a decade of excellent economic growth of 7% on average, Cambodia's economy unprecedentedly plummeted to negative 3.1% in 2020, while at the same time the poverty rate also increased to 17.8% due to loss of jobs. However, with a series of timely interventions and support by the royal government of Cambodia to affected sectors and vulnerable populations, and with the strategic vision of using COVID-19 vaccinations as a tool to combat the pandemic, Cambodia has been able to effectively manage the situation and put our people's life back in order. This has allowed our country to fully resume socio-economic activities since February of this year. With this positive progress, Cambodia's economy is projected to rebound to around 5.6% in 2022 and as high as 6.5% in 2023. Excellency Chair, despite all this progress achieved by Cambodia, I would like to point out that our share in global exports of goods and services remain a very small fraction of the global share. As a group, the least developing countries' share of world exports of goods and services remain below 1%. Therefore, it is important that WTO's members continue to provide preferential treatment in favor of LDCs, including full implementation of duty-free, quota-free market access, operationalizations of LDC services, waivers, and further simplifications of preferential rules of origin to ensure LDCs full utilizations of preferential market access. WTO's members should also consider favorably in extending further support to graduated LDCs to ensure continued and sustainable development. Furthermore, we must use this MC12 to strengthen multilateralism at the WTOs and use these opportunities to consensus building to deliver results that address issues faced by all concerned for the benefits of all and with due consideration to the broader challenges faced by the LDCs. This is important because we are at a time where unilateralism and fragmentations has begun to rise up and the smaller countries are being isolated, thereby threatening the core value of rule-based unity and the central value of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development to leave no one behind. But to do this, we need to collectively listen to each other's concerns, keep an open mind and be pragmatic, exercise flexibilities and constraint, and try to resolve issues through constructive engagement. We must avoid trying to squeeze every ounce of juice from one another and the unconstructive take it or leave it mentality. Excellency Chair, I would like to re-emphasize that Cambodia would like to see substantive outcomes from this MC12. We will work constructively with all members throughout this MC12 to achieve that. On the negotiation issues, outcome on fisheries subsidies agreement would be a great achievement for the WTO, as it has been over 20 years since the WTO was tasked by the United Nations to fulfill its Sustainable Development Goal 14.6. Reaching conclusion of this agreement can only reinforce the notion that the WTO is still relevant and can still deliver multilateral outcomes. On similar note, the WTO must deliver a credible and meaningful response to the pandemic, which include a TRIPS waiver taking into account current and future pandemics. We also like to see substantial outcomes achieved in the area of agricultural reforms in different pillars or future work programs are put in place to further discuss on outstanding issues after this MC12. Cambodia will join with others to address other issues also including food security and WTO reforms. I would like to conclude that Cambodia will always remain vested in the rule-based multilateral trading systems. We must ensure that the WTO remains relevant through necessary reforms, and the WTO remains a consensus-driven, transparent, and inclusive forum to allow smaller countries such as the LDCs to be part of the decision-making process and to have their voices and perspectives heard and considered. At this MC12, Cambodia is fully committed to work with all members to achieve substantial outcomes. I thank you.